All right, start off with Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Monday, February 10th. Start off with public comments.
Yeah, I'd like to public comment.
3 minutes and state your name.
Oh, yeah.
We all know you, but
Well, I know. That don't bother me. Tom Britton, real form. Congratulations to new commissioner and good riddance to the two that trashed our once beautiful county. Since I spoke last, the county has lost a couple more tax-paying businesses. Wendy's and Donahue Trailers, is that right? Have you guys heard that? And add the last to the old list, 2 lumber yards, $2 stores, hardware store, beer joint, convenience store, Cardi's, bowling alleys for sale, and some other business. Since the windmills were turned on. So much for economic development. This has been an economical and environmental disaster that should have never happened. Why did the zoning department not count Randy Eich's property on the landowner's protest petition? Was it incompetence, greased action, or both? This community deserves public acknowledgement of the harm caused by the county, and meaningful action should be taken to mitigate the damage. Enforce the regulations. Lights, Commissioner Dirk's addressed that already. People are fed up with these blinking lights. Noise where I live, the noise level is above the 55 decibel threshold to be in compliance. Intermittent cell phones. Now, what action should be taken to mitigate that? Drainage, you wrote a letter to me. And then the question was, well, why are there no culverts on Turbine Road's access road nearest Tom's house? And your answer was some areas were not conducive for culvert installation. We had this big discussion about culverts here, about a month or so ago. It seemed like, let's see here, water did not run across their county road there until the windmills went up. My neighbor will testify to this. As he said, if they would have cut a ditch and put in a culvert, the water would be running the other way. So what's the county do? They put in a culvert at the taxpayer's expense, which I think he was talking about $800 or $1,000, which is absolutely worthless, because Tina said it's a county road. All we're asking for is for you to do the right thing and enforce the regulations. That's your job. Thank you for letting me speak today. Amen.
I'm up.
Yeah, you're up, Greg.
All right. Greg Wyatt.
Like I said, we know you. Make sure everybody out there knows you.
10 months ago, I came to a county commission meeting providing evidence why the county should be maintaining the County Lake Road. Since that time, I've come to more meetings, provided you letters and documentation such as state statutes, attorney general opinions, state court rulings, information from the County Road Laws of Kansas, Kansas Local Road Management Handbook, county plats, and past county commission minutes to show that the county is responsible for maintaining the public roads of the county lake. I sent all this information to you, the news media, the Attorney General's office. In September, I told you that I was waiting for an answer for the Attorney General's office. I now have their response. According to Deputy Solicitor General, he stated, due to the fact-based nature of our request, the Attorney General would not give an opinion. I asked him what he meant by fact-based nature. He told me that since our request was primarily based on facts, there was no need for an opinion. So let's review the facts, starting with the definition of fact. A fact is a thing is known or proved to be true. Information used as evidence as part of a report or a news article. So Some of the facts. You, the commission, as well as your legal counsel, agreed that the county lake roads are indeed public roads. It's also a fact that Marion County is part of the County Unit Road System of Kansas. Under the County Unit Road System of Kansas, it states that the county is liable and responsible for maintaining all public roads outside of the cities. Fact that state statutes, attorney general opinions, state court rulings that have been presented are fact. Each provides evidence that the county is responsible for county lake roads as public roads. Under the County Unit Road System of Kansas, the Kansas Local Road Management Handbook, and lawinsider.com, the definition of public roads means and refers to any road located within a subdivision shown on a plat. It means those roads that are maintained by the county. I bring this up here in February to provide you time to maintain the county lake roads before the spring rains hit and cause multiple washouts. I don't think the county wants to be deemed negligent if something were to happen because of lack of maintenance. I know the county's coming back out this spring to fix the terrible conditions that they have left Lakeshore Drive and County Road 170 this past fall. I know they are coming back to finish patching or repairing and doing chip and seal on these roads. While they're there, they could be maintaining the other county lake roads as well. You each have been elected by your constituents to serve them to the best of your abilities, just as I have with the Improvement District. Hopefully you are not one of these elected officials who only wants the prestige of a title or a paycheck, but rather are an elected official who is willing to work for their patrons who elected you in the first place. In conclusion, I have presented you the facts during meetings, letters, and through the media. It's now up to you to determine what kind of elected official you are. We have a county that has a great deal to offer here. If we as elected officials are willing to work with the people and do what is right for them. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present this to you today. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christina Kramer. I live at 1422 330th in Tampa. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to bring attention to an urgent matter that affects the daily lives of residents, farmers, and businesses in our community, the condition of 330th from Limestone to Quail Creek. This stretch of road has become increasingly hazardous due to deteriorating pavement, potholes, and uneven surfaces. For those who rely on this route daily, whether commuting to work, transporting goods, or simply trying to get their children to school safely, the road's poor condition is more than an inconvenience. It's a risk to both safety and property. I urge the commissioners to prioritize the repaving of 330th from Limestone to Quail Creek. Our community deserves safe, reliable roads, and with your support, we can ensure this critical route is repaired for the benefit of all who travel it. Thank you for your time and consideration. I appreciate your leadership and commitment to improving our county's infrastructure.
Any other public comments online? See any hand raises? I don't see any muted mics, so. All right, close public comment. We'll move on to the agenda approval. We need to have an extra executive for hiring. Fit in wherever. Any other object? All right, we'll move forward. The agenda is. So, administrative business.
Go ahead with the clerk's items.
Here are the last meeting's minutes.
Everybody had a chance to read the minutes?
Approve them as is.
We have a motion to approve. Second? Second? Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
Then the next one is early checks in the amount of $294,010.04.
This includes the payouts to the fire districts, if you saw that in your packet. So that'd be just transferring them to doing their own bookkeeping.
I'll make a motion to approve the early checks in the amount of $294,010.04.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. 5-0.
Get an engineering plan for the,
That's all I had.
Okay. In your packet, you have the treasurer's reports for January 31st. You have the administrative report, a lot of those department updates, some of the information that was presented in the department head meeting that we held. Does anybody have questions about anything that was provided?
I'd like to make a comment about the treasurer's report.
Okay.
I would appreciate if the Marion County Record would report something positive, that the county made $64,000
yeah, that's good.
by being good stewards of the county's money. A positive comment.
Talk about it after.
We know what we talk about now. It's a public meeting.
It's all right. Yeah.
Any questions or anything else on? Okay. Wanted to let you all know. Let's see. Sorry, I've got this is my new computer. I haven't used it yet, so I'm just getting used to it. Okay. Tonight, just as a reminder that the state is putting on the class in Augusta for, through Kansas Department of Emergency Management for Incident Command Overview for senior officials. Is anyone planning to attend that? Or did anyone register for it? Okay, so those, some of those classes, if the commissioners haven't had them before or haven't had them for a while, we probably need to do refreshers on update information. So if we're not attending this one, then we can, Marcy says she might be able to bring this class here to us.
The Butler County one.
Yeah, this is in Augusta tonight. Yeah, it's tonight, so.
Still go tonight or not?
I can check. I'll check after the meeting.
As far as bringing one to us, I think that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
messed up, so.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll find out if we can, maybe bring one here. So there may be some department heads that should potentially be included in that too, so we can see. But, okay, and then the other thing, oh, I'm sorry.
In talking with Marcy, I think there's 3 or 4 classes that are required. They're all online. And if, I know, I've had them in the past, I plan on taking them online, but she could send that information to everybody. I mean, the online classes are, you get just as much out of those as this overview class is not really.
All right, I'll ask.
There are online options to meet those requirements and.
Yeah, there are for a bunch of the classes. Some of them, not every single one, but,
If she could send that out to everybody and
okay.
they can get online, and if you
Okay.
haven't got those certificates, go ahead and take that. I plan on doing it. I've got the information at home, but I don't have it with me, so.
Yep, I've got that on my list. I will talk to her about that and we'll get the list of the specific ones everybody needs and then links if they wanna do them online. And then if there are certain ones that are not offered online, I'll let her know that maybe it's our preference whenever possible to bring those to us rather than us having to go. We'll see what we can work out. It's been a while, yeah. Okay, and then I wanted to let you know that we did receive a new printer, a card printer through a grant through the Department of Emergency Management for our ID badge system. And so the amount of value for that is $4,995, and I believe we have that equipment right now, so.
To accept the grant.
Yeah, it would be to accept the equipment through the grant, yes.
So moved.
Okay.
Second by Ken. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. 5-0.
Well, I said, I got more spaghetti on the south part. God, if I had another year, I could buy.
You might see that we still have the big lift outside. I don't know if you were able to see that those louvers have been installed. And Chris did do photographic inspection of the upper part of the courthouse. We did print the pictures, they're in that folder for you all to look at when you want to, and I just got them this morning, so I'll try to get them together in some sort of a slideshow or something and send them out to you electronically also. Anyway, just want to let you know that is done. He's done with the lift, it'll be going back. He still has that cupola to paint on the back of the building, but he plans to scamper out there and just do that without the lift, properly secured.
Put a rope around his foot, huh?
Yeah.
See some really nice new fall protection deals. You can do self-rescue. God, I think I'm gonna invest in them.
So anyway, he looks like he was able to do everything that he needed. Looks like he did a really good job on that. Wanted to just mention, do you have a date in mind or something? We will be potentially moving into the new health department the week of the 24th through the 28th. Hopefully being able to be open there the first Monday in March. And would want to probably plan a ribbon cutting to invite the public to kind of see the facility shortly after that. So do you all have any particular dates in mind or expectations on that?
Building committee
Week or
since
2 weeks after.
Do you want to do it on a commission day
Monday morning.
so that you're already in town, or do you have a preference on days? Or
Might as well do it then.
I don't have a preference.
Monday mornings usually work for me. That's about the only
okay.
thing I can bank on anymore.
The other question is, because we had a change in board members, are you okay with including the current board and the two previous commissioners that were working on the project.
Up to you two.
Doesn't matter to me.
Will be included as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. All right.
What about March 17th, St. Patrick's Day?
That could work.
Could make a fun event.
I will kind of see what we can get arranged and what date works for everybody. So, okay. That is all I have aside from the executive session for hiring.
What do you need for that, since we're less than 10 minutes?
It can be, but also, I don't know if Brad has anything that would be open session for today. No. So. It's up to you.
Sort of anything early. Everybody's here, looks like.
Okay, just to get these recommendations.
Bid opening, it's not a,
No.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Darren.
Let's get
You're up.
I know Steve wanted.
Wow, 9 minutes early? Holy cow. So, am I supposed to sit there now with
Yes.
the change? Okay.
Unless you wanna fight Steve.
Oh, no, he's got it. I'm assuming this was disseminated.
Yeah, they have that in their
They've had to.
packets.
Okay. So we were asked by staff to take a look at the next 3 potential road projects, the larger ones. So we have gone out multiple times, driven them, taken a look at some stuff. Of course, we didn't dig into any of them yet, but just based on what we found on the other roads that we've been involved with repairing, got some ideas of kind of what needs to be done. So the first one we took a look at was Nighthawk. This is the 1 mile stretch, which is not even a full mile with what's already been redone. For purposes of this estimate though, we showed it as a full mile just so we're conservative. But of course that first, was it 500 feet or so on the south end's already been done. And we do right up to the KDOT concrete on the north end. That one is a good candidate for the cement stabilization. However, it's been done before, and one of the things that does worry us a little bit, so on this estimate, we went ahead and said, hey, let's take it all out. We're gonna go with crushed base. What we have found over time, and it's not just here in Marion County, it's all over. If we've got any spot or spots where the moisture stays high after we put that cement treated base in, that cement treated base is gonna fail. Whether it's cement, lime, fly ash, doesn't matter what additive we use. If we can't keep it dried out. And so with the ditches the way they are on that stretch, there's just enough spots that we could be getting some moisture seepage underneath staying there, and that's what could be causing some of that treated base failure. So this particular one, we said, hey, we'll just go with a crushed base, more like what we did on Kansas as far as the base, and then a 3-inch asphalt overlay on top. So we'd have a total of 15 inches remove replace situation. We've also had really good luck when we use these new bases to put the geogrid down. Again, that's what was used over on Kansas, and we've had huge success all over the state, especially on heavier vehicle weight roads using the geogrids. It just helps keep everything from segregating back into the base, sub base, so it keeps it up, where it needs to be in the base material. So our construction total for the Nighthawk section would be that 399,000. We went ahead and included those below costs just in case. I know when John has looked at a few of the grant programs he's applying for, those bottom numbers come into play when you're submitting for like KDOT grants and stuff. So we've just gone ahead and thrown those on there. That's not locking those numbers in anything. It's just our best guess based on the other roads, what it would take to watch it or do it for design. If for some reason any of these designs end up in, say, a KDOT design process, that design number is probably low. Just because as soon as you start going through the KDOT design process, instead of being 1 or 2 reviews with you all, we end up, the survey costs about twice as much to pick up everything KDOT requires. Plus we end up going through about 7 or 8 review processes with KDOT. So it's just a lot more labor hours once you get into a KDOT design, so that would go up. Also, if for some reason on the construction engineering, same thing, if you end up in a KDOT, cost shares aren't this way, but there are some programs out there that you end up using the KDOT bid system. And when you do that, the construction engineering goes way up because we have to use their computer system, which means all the documentation is in triplicate, and sometimes we have to have 2 inspectors out there even though we don't feel it's necessary, and it just ends up being a whole different ballgame. So all the numbers I've shown on the below stuff is more, if it kept more on the local side for design and bidding purposes, and then the construction inspection. Excuse me. The next one we took a look at was up on 330th.
I'll back up
Yes.
just a second.
Go for it.
Now, like on that Canada Road water sits out there in the ditches. Are we planning on doing anything with the ditch to keep the water from getting underneath there?
Crushed concrete, or the crushed rock base.
But he means to get it out of there, and in taking a look, I don't know, so many of our locations, not just on these projects we've looked at here, but like that Canada Road, there's just not a lot of places to drain it to. I mean, we're talking, we probably need to be, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but we're probably looking at needing to grade maybe a total of 3 miles worth of ditches just to get that one to drain out, because you gotta get clear down past 190th and a half mile back.
That water sits out there when it's low and dry.
It's gonna take a lot more than just grading the ditches on Nighthawk to get that one to drain.
Might have to bore shot that one to that South Creek.
Yeah, without taking a more extensive look, I'm not even sure how much, because if I remember right, it probably breaks too at the old railroad. Does it go both directions from there? I don't even remember on that one.
North of that yet, ain't
Yeah, it'd be north of that, yeah,
North
but
of that,
it goes
good.
in between, on 180, between Mustang and Nighthawk, breaks down through there pretty good.
No, but I mean on Nighthawk itself, the old rail line,
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't have culverts under it, correct?
No,
So that old rail line's probably our break point north and south, and
Right.
from there up to the new highway, there's not hardly any fall. So no matter how we try to regrade it, there's just not a huge place to push water.
I'm just thinking you spend that kind of money if you still have a water issue.
Well, that's the nice thing with the geogrid and crushed concrete, though, it's not gonna impact that. That's where it's gonna save us.
Creates a French drain.
Yeah, it's kinda like a French drain right underneath the road.
Okay, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have water seep under it, it'll stay under the road when there's water sitting there, but as soon as it dries out, it'll be gone. And with that geogrid, it won't, even though that sub base stays wet, it won't let us push down in, so. That was one of the reasons, for that drainage purpose that you just brought up, Kent's the reason I said, hey, this is probably one we need to go to the crushed base on. 330th, of course, that project has already had the cement treated base done to it. Probably the same type of reason is we got moisture sitting in so many locations under that, and a good past example, and I'm going back, probably 20 years ago when I took this road out. There was a KDOT highway up on Highway 36 that ran through a community. And way back in the 60s, KDOT had decided to do, at that time, they were using lime instead of cement. But they had done a lime treated subbase. And it was in a spot that came down off of a hill, was a mile through town and back up. And it happened to be one of those situations where 4 directions, this town sits in a bowl. And we came in there about, that would have been 35 years after KDOT originally did it. And we took the concrete out because they were having all kinds of slab issues. And we'd done geotesting ahead and kind of found this, but didn't realize how extensive it was going to be. We got those slabs out of there, and that entire lime subbase that had been put in by KDOT was 18 inches thick, but it was still 100% saturated 35 years later. It has acted like a sponge, plus it never let any of that drain away. So the same thing kind of is going on in so many spots. And with a treated base, you have to let it get cured out. It has to dry, cure out at least once, and then you don't want it setting continually. And some of these situations, I don't even think before we even get done putting the cap on, we're getting moisture soaking it right back up, so. 3/30th, same thing we did, this estimate up there is for 5 miles, 15-inch total, taking out the 28-foot wide concrete base, or crushed concrete base over geo, and then 24-foot wide, a 3-inch asphalt overlay. So you can see that that's the same 5 miles up there, 2.5 million. Roughly comes in at about $500,000 a mile, roughly, which is about what we had the other estimate for Nighthawk. Once again, we have the design numbers on there and the inspection numbers on there. Those would be valid if we weren't going through a KDOT project, so.
Does that take into account the amount of weight that road handles?
Yes. When we do a 12-inch crushed concrete base, that's a highway, that's what you see on I-70. The only difference is we're only putting a 3-inch cap on it versus on I-70, you're going ahead and putting 10-inch concrete. But as far as the base material goes, 12 inches is meant to handle. In fact, a lot of places will only go an 8-inch crushed base, and it's good for that 80,000 pound loads. So the difference being, what weight are we really seeing on some of these county roads? It's going to vary year to year, harvest to harvest, but
I know that road carries a tremendous amount of weight.
The one thing that, as soon as we start dealing with county roads, one thing that's always tough for us to say from our side is, I remember here, it's probably 8 years ago or so, that year that every single corn crop went to silage. And in that 1 year, that weight of those vehicles on the roads was probably well above what we designed for. How extensive do you want us on the engineering side to try to account for that? Because if we designed every road to handle that 1 in 15, 20 year setup, this price here would, you'd be looking at 5 million for this 5 miles instead of 2.5. So there's a point where you have to make that risk analysis of how often do you want to design or have us account for what type of loading. We feel like what this does is it accounts for everything but that one really oddball year that might happen once every 15 to 20 years. And I say that and we're gonna get 2-3 years straight with it. We'll all be in trouble, but that's a risk we have to take.
Carries heavy silage trucks annually.
I think that's why a 12-inch crush base over geo, it will handle it. The only thing that might have some issues is the 3-inch asphalt, but since silage is more happening in the fall where it's not as hot, it wouldn't be as hard on it. So, unless for some reason we're still seeing 90-degree temps when we're cutting silage, and I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Last few years they've been chopping silage the 1st of August.
We could always up this estimate to have more asphalt on it. I guess in a perfect world, we'd make that a concrete road up there too, but,
Perfect world, you make them all concrete.
Exactly. Yes, I would.
Lifespans are different.
What
So,
is the cost difference to do a concrete, just?
Double.
so if you see up there, you'll see that, there's 3-inch asphalt paving, 70,000 square yards at 16.
Yep.
To do 8-inch concrete, that 16 number goes to be conservative, 85, but we can probably do it for 65. So 60, let's just say 65, take that number times 4. So you're looking at 4 million just for the concrete. And add another, 1.5 there for everything else. So, which would be about right compared to Kansas, because Kansas was 2 miles. And this is 5, so proportionally.
$1.25 million a mile.
Well, we can usually do concrete road for $1 million a mile. That's unless there's a bridge or something we got to extend or boxes we got to extend. $1 million a mile usually easy covers it. And sometimes if you catch them right, we'll get better bid prices than that. Third one we took a look at. 140th. And I've got two different things shown on here. Of course, we came in and saw you during that last asphalt road project and said, hey, let's hold off on this stretch of 140th because we really wanted to see what that product was going to do. That was put on. What year was that, Steve? Was it 22?
It was 22 and then went into 23, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so 22, 23. So we're roughly 2 to 3 years of having that soil stabilizer down there. I've been very impressed that it's held on as well as it has. We thought a year ago when we were getting ready to do those other paving jobs, we were starting to see some kind of blowout areas, and we really haven't seen them as much as I thought. They've starting to look like maybe something were starting to pop up, but they've kind of solidified and not started moving on us again. I see that road in a lot of ways as when we did 330th west of K15. You know, we had some problems on some upslopes and downslopes. Since we did that up on 330th, you know, we haven't seen those at all. Since that soil product was used down there on this stretch of 140th, it doesn't appear, that's what I was really worried about them coming back. You know, even last year starting to see them a little bit, but they really haven't here over this last year. So that's why I've got two estimates on here for this one. The bottom one is for no base work, purely just putting an asphalt cap on there of 3 inches and then the striping. And then the top one is to go ahead and redo. And that one would be a cement treated base down there. Even though there's a little bit of spots that might set some moisture, it's nothing that couldn't be handled with it. So that 3 mile stretch, yeah, $2 million with the base or 1.1 with just the asphalt only. And all of these asphalt estimates are using this last year's asphalt numbers we got right here on your projects, plus adding a 10% cushion in case, because we don't know what prices are exactly going to do this next year. So it's a little bit of a cushion to cover it. Like I said, that was the 3 sections of road right now that we took a look at, and we're always willing to give you guys other looks and estimates.
That's the ones you picked out, right?
That's one we all agreed on.
Yeah.
Just kind of giving you the commission a little bit of insight here. John's been working on getting a grant proposal, economic development for the East Tampa Road or 330th for those 5 miles. It's worth a chance to try to see if we can get some money out of it. If not, then we'll have to go back to here now. Getting ready to submit that. When's the deadline on that? Whenever. Okay.
Yeah, economic development doesn't have a deadline during the year.
So we still have to yet apply for the cost share on the other 2 stretches?
The other, you're talking about now you're back on 290th, right?
Well, I'm back on the East Tampa Road and Nighthawk, yeah.
Okay, the East Tampa Road, we're submitting one for that as of this time. The other 2
But not
roads.
cost share. You're submitting economic development. Right.
We haven't
Cost
done
share, cost share applications will be due, they haven't come out with the date exactly, but they'll be due in April sometime usually. They haven't set that date yet. They just announced, well, HRRR was, a couple weeks ago, and the other KDOT programs that are called the C-CLIPs, which are mostly for cities, those C-CLIPs are due in March, so usually following the calendar.
So if they award in April,
That's the deadline in April. They usually don't award till about June or July.
it's just, how would we have time to complete our project if we do qualify?
Let's just say economic development's a little different animal, but cost share, if you get a cost share grant awarded out of the April cycle, usually the money isn't available until the next FY. So you're a full year out before you can actually use their money. Now, that's not to say that what you can do is once you're announced and you and this county would sign the grant agreement with KDOT, you can actually spend all the money, it's just you can't get your reimbursement until the next FY. So it depends how much you could carry on your own budget authority as to when you could actually do the project.
That's the issue.
Well, exactly, it is.
Details.
But that's the way the cost share works. Now, economic development, that's a totally different ballgame. You can turn it in anytime during the year, and if they give it to you, they usually have it right then, and you could get started on it right away for reimbursements. So that's a whole different pot, though, than the cost share.
And it was also brought to my attention, Sharon with Planning and Zoning had mentioned, that there's gonna be a asphalt plant in our county on K-15. I didn't get the exact location, but, that could be a positive thing for us as well, so just kinda giving you guys a heads up on that.
Are we getting another one this year? I'll have to ask Joe.
Yeah, he said, my understanding, Sharon got the permit for it,
Okay.
so.
That's all I've got for you right now.
I have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
Your numbers, to me, they don't add up.
Okay.
Let's start on Nighthawk from 190th to US 56.
Okay.
Just shy of a mile. You've got 1,400 square yards of 12-inch crushed concrete. If I do the math, that's not gonna cover.
And I could have had some, I'll have to go back and take a look. I see that now. It should be, I bet it was supposed to be the 14,000. But the total number still is in the realm, so I don't know what happened there. I'll go back and take a look.
14,000 at 750 is gonna put that $10,500 up to $100,000.
Right.
The 12,000 square yards of 3-inch asphalt, if you look over at 330th from Limestone to Quail Creek, when I did the math, that kind of came out pretty close. 70,400 square yards comes to 14,080 square yards per mile. This one's a little bit shy of a mile, so that should be pretty close. When I do the math on Pawnee to Sunflower, you've got 56,400 square yards, which by my math comes to 18,800 square yards per mile, which is 4,000 yards more per mile than the Limestone and Quail Creek.
I think that might,
It's, 24 feet times 3 inches. 24 feet times 3 inches, whichever road it is. I just wonder how you got the 4,000 square yards difference.
I'm opening my actual Excel spreadsheet just a second. Okay, so on 140th. We got this all built into formulas, so I'm gonna look and see what might have gone wrong with the formulas. Okay, so on the 140th, it did leave a 4 instead of a 3, so that 3-inch asphalt's actually for 4 miles on that one, so that would cheapen it up. That 56,400 is for 4 miles of asphalt instead of 3. So that would drop that 25% on that 902.
Then on the manipulation of the cement treated base, talking about manipulating 12 inches, and I'm assuming when you say a square yard, that's 9 square feet. So 3 miles times 28 feet divided by 9. If I do the math, that's
Well, once again, that's based on 4 miles. So everything you're seeing on that 140th project is actually for 4 miles and not 3.
Can we get an update on that then? So that, I mean, that's 25%
Yes.
difference. And
It will be on, I don't know about everything on there, but it would be on most of that. So instead of 2063, you're probably looking at about 1.5-ish on the construction. Instead of 2 million, 1.5 million, 6 million.
is,
And then on the lower one on that, asphalt only, instead of 1,000,001, it'd be 800,000. Yeah, I see what happened right there. We still had a 4 left in there instead of a 3. It's because I had it stuck in my brain that was a 4-mile stretch instead of a 3-mile stretch. I remember when I was putting that together, I had to go back and count it a couple times, and I, for some reason, wasn't doing my alphabet right and kept thinking 4.
okay, then on the earthwork for limestone and Nighthawk, removing the asphalt and removing the existing base, is that base and asphalt something that would be ground up, stockpiled for the county to use elsewhere?
That's what we typically do, whether the asphalt's chunked out or whether it's milled out. And we usually leave that up to a contractor to decide which is gonna be the cheapest. And then we found out, that's what we did on 290th. So up there at the crushed concrete piles north of Lincolnville, all of the asphalt that came off of 290th is up there that we didn't reuse. Or the stuff, the base that we pulled out, it all got hauled up there. So yes, 100% of everything we pull out is salvageable and goes to the county unless Steve says, hey, we don't want it for some reason. And it's contractor responsibility to get rid of it. If it's junky material, we don't want. But if it's any kind of material we could ever reuse, yes.
You definitely want it.
And what are you
You
guys,
paid for it already.
what are you guys doing with that then? Is just,
Well, put it in road rebuilds, mainly just road rebuilds and use them for places that, like gravel roads, for instance. Use crushed concrete for that if need be.
The stuff that's like we pulled off of 290th, the trimmings off of 290th have a certain amount of cement in them here. So for a couple of years, when you reuse those, they actually help heal stuff up a little bit. I mean, it's not like just straight soil. It's got a little bit of cement in it.
We could also use it for road's edge on the new overlays, you put them on for shoulders.
Yeah, that's where we've used it quite a bit, is on that edge wedge we put on after an overlay.
I just wanna make sure that we're utilizing that material efficiently and
We probably need some base material there at Peabody if we start that yard or something at some point.
Is that what you used up there on 330th on those edges?
We use crushed concrete.
Concrete. Looks good.
Through 30th?
The Roxbury Road.
Oh, yeah. So yes, I'll get an updated sheet back with that change on 140th.
and then if you can just check the numbers on the Nighthawk Road too.
I'm thinking that one of the things, I'll have to look back through my exact formulas. We made an assumption too, and I probably should have written that on here, and I will if that's what we end up doing. We knew we still had some crushed concrete piles, and it probably wouldn't have been only 10,000, but when we used the crushed concrete for Kansas, obviously it saved a bunch of county money because we already had the crushed concrete, so we didn't have to pay for material. Well, I think we were talking, going back and forth when we were creating this estimate about whether to include that or not include that. So what I'll probably do is break it into two sections, one where it's county supplied crushed material and one where it's not, where it's contractor supplied. Cause there will be a cost difference in there. Cause the other thing we're not 100% sure of is how much crushed material we
And I
still
think that
really,
question-
really have.
Yeah, that was one of the big questions.
So we need to probably go out and even do a very basic quickie measurement of those piles and see really what we got left. Cause we used quite a bit of it on Kansas. I know there's still quite a bit up there, but I don't know if we have enough to do. We'd have enough to do 1 mile, but we definitely would not have enough to do 330th up there, east of Tampa.
We were planning on using some of that for the the gravel rebuild on 360th from Highway 77 all the way to Ramona as well. So, as a base material.
So eventually we're gonna kinda run out, so we probably ought to have estimates for both. So that's probably what we'll do is I'll do a double section on this one. I know we didn't do that though on 330th because we knew we wouldn't have enough to do that over there. So it's got enough quantity built in it to do the whole thing.
And then on the, on the seating and traffic control, can we get better estimate? I mean, it shouldn't cost $10,000 to reseed 1 mile. If it costs $10,000 to reseed 5 miles, I mean, can we get any better estimates on that?
A lot of that, we put just precursor numbers in here like that because until we do the actual design, we don't know how much we're actually gonna disturb. And so sometimes, like, we didn't end up hardly disturbing anything up on 290th, so we didn't even seed. So that number just went away. And the only time we end up seeding on a lot of these jobs is if all of a sudden we have to do some work around a box or a culvert where we have to do, flare out working. So I put them more in here to do just a placeholder in case we need it. So until we actually do an actual design, it gets really tough to narrow down the seeding. Traffic control, once again, kind of depends. Traffic control is pretty standard for no matter whether they have a 1 mile job or a 5 mile job. Use about the same number of devices, no matter how many miles we're doing of this type of project. So it doesn't run a whole lot different than that. Unless we're having to do, let's say for some reason we're having to try to do a keep a road half open, which we've been pretty fortunate with all the roads we've done. We've been able to keep local traffic on it that live right along that road somewhere. But if we just had a situation, for example, if we, last year or a couple years ago in Kansas, when we did it, if we had tried to keep ag services open differently and having to keep them on half the road at a time and only construct half the road at a time, yeah, that traffic control number would have gone way up because we didn't have barrels or barricades up the whole entire length. But where we're just putting stuff at the ends and controlling traffic to not come through or barely assist coming through where we have to, it's a pretty standard number no matter how many miles you're doing. So it doesn't, traffic control companies usually don't charge us for 2 more type 3 barricades at a mile. It's more, okay, what do we got on the ends to keep people from coming through is where most of the cost is. So we can, and I'll have a better idea once again after we'd actually do a design, how that design's set up, how we have to phase it, which might drive how much traffic control we have to have. So that's why we kind of just throw a number in there as a placeholder so that everybody knows, hey, we're gonna have it. We just don't know the level of it until we design. Good.
Going back to the cost share reimbursement, do we know about how much budget we would have to do a project, knowing that we were gonna get the reimbursement based on this year's budget?
I haven't looked at all of that
Yeah, I know, I didn't
until we've
expect
had
a
any
number.
kind of numbers.
In the end, that's what we're gonna have to know. Or can we start all 3? Can we start 2? You know what?
Yeah, we'll have to look at our capital improvement.
Are there other road sections that you all are looking at prioritizing at this time? Or are these the ones?
So,
These guys, these are the three we've been talking about for last year.
yeah, the last commission picked out these. Steve, I don't know.
I did give them a copy of this
Okay.
year's proposed blacktop roads as well as gravel rebuild roads, so they should have a copy of that.
Yeah, but these weren't on there.
Well, yeah, they weren't on it. Those are just things that the county does,
Yeah.
that are scheduled to do anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll get freshened up numbers.
Yeah, I'll get those back to you the next day or so, Tina.
Okay.
Kick them out whenever you feel like, yeah, whether you have to wait for the next packet or however you do it, but you'll have it.
Okay, super.
Yeah, and in that we can get our capital improvement,
Mhm.
start getting minds wrapped around how this looks.
On the cost share though, Kent, there is a maximum, let's say you pick 3/30th. It's not gonna be 50%, I know that. I think it's 1 million.
It is. It's $1 million is the maximum that project.
We've ran into that.
Yeah, that's what, well, that's 2/90th was that way, I know that's, so.
And, I mean, you wouldn't know that you would be receiving that, because when do they announce those? They don't.
Well, for the April cycle, I think they try to get them out in either June or July. It's usually about 60 days after the application that they make the announcements. I know when they do the fall announcements, which usually get announced in December, that the money is there for that reimbursement the next July 1st, the next state FY. What I don't remember is if KDOT plans the spring ones a year in advance or if they're in the lag. In other words, I don't remember, and it could be their split too, that KDOT is holding part of that money and they're already in the FY they're gonna give it to you in, or if it's the next one. So that's, I don't remember what the spring ones.
But we've been denied, the last 2 times?
On 2/90th.
On 2/90th.
2 to 3 times.
At least 2, maybe 3. 2?
2/90th.
Just 2? On that next section, yeah.
Okay.
'Cause I know the public asks all the time, when you gonna start on the next section?
It,
Money.
a lot of it, in what I tell everybody that I work with cost share applications on is it's been very standard across the state, whether you're a city or a county, to be in your 5th or 6th application cycle before you get an award. Now, there have been some exceptions lately, and if you would like to take this route, I would be more than willing to give you the information to take this route, but you need to go stand on your state senator and state rep.
So that gets political, doesn't it?
Yep, yep. Cause I've had a couple that the state senator has gotten involved in and projects that honestly, I didn't think would ever float to a top if it's just on its technical merit, and all of a sudden they got funded in their 1st or 2nd cycles. So it does happen in the political world, we all know it, and that would be the way to get something other than the normal cycles, so.
Thanks, Darryl.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
That takes care of that. We want to go, well, I guess Brad's all executive too, huh?
Just the ones that you have listed, that's it.
Oh, okay. So, we can do the executive hiring.
Sure. Probably 10 minutes would be sufficient.
Alright, we recess into executive session in order to discuss hiring pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. For item number 1, personal matters, non-elected personnel with the board, Tina and Brad. 10 minutes, return at 1:40. All those in favor? 5-0.
Right.
Technology's on.
All right, out of executive session, no action is taken. Motion.
Want to move into recess and executive session for property acquisition. Item 6, for primary discussion of acquiring real estate. And in the meeting, I want Kent, Dave, Clark, Mike, Brad, and Tina.
So I think that Commissioner Gehring is recusing.
Accused himself.
Yeah, I got conflict of interest, so I'm gonna stay out of it.
So that's a motion.
Yes.
Second.
How long?
Is it 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
I think that's plenty.
10 minutes?
Return that.
Return. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Return at 1:54.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, we're sitting out in the hallway.
We're back in session now, no action was taken. We'll get back to the agenda.
Commission comments. If, just ask everybody if it's a department related, we postpone it and tell Tina about it, make sure they get put on the agenda. That way they can be here to at least defend themselves if it's not in the positive light.
Or answer questions.
Other than that, anybody got anything?
Brad didn't have anything?
Oh.
Okay.
If he did, he lied to me earlier, because I let it go at the end.
The one I was thinking of, I'll wait. I'll send you some information first.
Okay. I mean, if it's something you need to do.
I would like, an agenda item for next week. Bringing planning and zoning in and talk about the enforcement of the CUP for the wind farm. Probably at least 30 to 45 minutes, I would assume, but I would like to get that on the agenda for next week.
We had the opportunity to sit in on a Chase County Commission meeting this morning. Was welcomed quite well. Their system is considerably different due to one school district, no hospitals, the EMS system. I think there's only 2 full-time employees. It's amazing how much difference there is with what we are contended to. Let me just ask questions as their business moved through without any restrictions, replied. I thought it was a good thing just to see that aspect. My goal is maybe to visit some of the other counties adjoining us in time, just to see that as well, and just can't believe that how gracious they were to even have me. I'm the only one that they know of since they've been commissioners that has attended there and had a really good rapport with everybody there that day. So just wanted to mention
Talking to Tony quite a bit on the phone.
the differences in the contrast of our total counties.
I went to Topeka last week, KAC, managed to meet with Mike Fagg our Senator Mike Fagg on the road rebuilds and utility relocations, and I think he heard me. I did have a chance to drop it in on Stephen Owens, and just for the extra. I did talk with Jay Hall on how to approach the situation as far as, you know, just make sure that they know that they don't lease the ground from us, so we're not getting compensated for it. So if we have to do a road rebuild or something like that, that's just kind of the risk you take being in the public right of way. I did manage to meet with, Mike King. We went over some other things. It was mentioned about the utility relocations.
So who's pushing it to utility companies?
It's got to do with federal funds. If federal funds come into play and they put them in, then it's kind of written in there that we gotta pay for a utility to move if they're paid for with federal funds. But if they're not.
So that would kick in on some of our fiber optic.
Right. So we really need to make sure we stay on top of this one. And then Scott Hill was not around, or he wasn't available. Those are 4 key points that I usually run to and talk to. Did talk to some of the other departments in KAC, and they were really excited for some of our new people to come to classes, and they were looking forward to actually meeting them in person and making sure that they have everything they need to be successful. It's a really good group of people wanting the best interest of everybody, because as a collective, we'll be stronger that way. So that's all I got. It was very beneficial. Recommend anybody that wants to go next year, go. And I have a meeting, I think it's next week, with KAC, so no conflicts, so. Anything else? Motion to adjourn. Second. Clark, second. All those in favor? Aye. 5-0. I heard 2 of them, I just couldn't figure out who were 2. Like I heard your voice. Did they both come from that way?
Email.